All right, so it's 11 o'clock for the sake of everyone's time. Hey Evan, how are you?
Hey, Evan, good
So
morning.
couple housekeeping items, right? One, we've just extended the group another 3 months for everybody, so there's no additional costs or anything. And look, we still have to have our second retreat, and also between this group and the next group, they've all asked us to continue these groups. So we're really trying to figure out something that we can do that's a lot more cost effective for everyone, that gives people access to larger networks, more experiences, and everything else. Another exciting announcement to share. We've hired Wendy Forsythe, who was previously the president of Compass California, now to be the president of Chirag Shah Coaching. So she'll be spending time with you as well. I've known Wendy for 10 years. She was actually my consultant when I had a real estate brokerage, and she's sold real estate, sold her brokerage, had executive positions at many of the major real estate brands, been a COO, a chief strategy officer, and somebody that's like one of us that really like understands this. So it's a great addition to the Chirag Shah Coaching family. So it will enhance your experiences. She's somebody that we can all learn from as well. And so today's topic, I know we spent a lot of time talking about the buyer stuff and mastery and things to do. And so we here have been obsessed with the book Unreasonable Hospitality. And if you haven't read it, I highly suggest you check it out. But there's this concept in there in like the bonus hidden chapter, Evan, called cowboy hat ideas, right? And it's like the concept is these are these crazy ideas that you might have when you've had one too many drinks or you think it's a really good idea, and then everyone tries to talk you out of it. And so what I want to push is the idea of innovation, right? So we live in a business that is rarely disrupted, rarely innovated. It's just more of the same in different packaging and promotions. So if you look at what Robert did with Compass, he was the real person that disrupted this industry, right? So my question here in like a roundtable discussion is, what can you do? What ideas do you all have? What would be your cowboy hat idea? How, if you could innovate your business beyond what you thought was possible, what would you do? How would you do it? Would it be marketing? Would it be lead gen? Would it be client experience? And I want everyone to start thinking about what a cowboy hat idea for them would be. So would you like me to throw a cowboy hat out idea for everybody? Kind of kick the conversation off?
Yes.
So if you think about a cowboy hat idea, I start with the question in my head. If the Ritz-Carlton's concierge was a buyer's agent or a listing agent, what would that be like? Well, I would look at it that if I was looking at a home with my kids, they would know everything from my favorite coffee to drinks to snacks. They know if my kids wanted iPads, like so that they could not be bothering us essentially as we look for homes. The iPads would come preloaded with the apps that they like. The buyer's tours would be preloaded with collections and everything else. And in the end, they could turn the iPads in, you organize all the notes, you send it back to them in a recap email. And that kind of innovation doesn't exist right now, right? So that's a cowboy hat idea that people could bring to life. Who else has like a, Lindsay, I know you have cowboy hat ideas. Oh my God. I have real fear of people driving and trying to do Zoom. Hold on. Andrew, can you try to unmute her?
Thank you. Did it work?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
So my cowboy hat idea, I have so many of them, you know me well, but my biggest one actually stemmed from you, Chirag, where I really want to create a team and a business where my clients are literally checking into the Four Seasons and everything is taken care of for them. I have a school specialist who is not a licensed agent who speaks to my clients about what is really involved in all the districts. I have a stager that will help my sellers, as well as help the agents on my team, just kind of soup to nuts everything. And very, very, very heavily focused on client relations, and creating a lifestyle. So being a lifestyle agent, not a real estate agent, if that makes sense.
So what's the difference between a lifestyle agent versus a real estate agent?
Well, because we're focused on just your life. Like I always tell people, real estate's like dating. When you're dating all the houses, you're dating the towns, you're dating the agent to see, like, do you want to hear my voice late at night, right? If not, I'm not your agent. So beyond, when you think of it further, I'm not just finding them this house, I'm finding them their community, I'm finding them their friends, I'm finding them their coffee shops, their bars, their restaurants, all of that. So after the real estate becomes the lifestyle, and it's then continuing that relationship further and further and connecting them with other clients in their community.
So let me add on to this, right? So, right, everyone write this down. Home and lifestyle analysis. That's the word for this. You don't have a buyer questionnaire. You have a home and lifestyle analysis, right? So you know what makes somebody an expert, Ethan? Knowing one more thing than the next person, right? So if I go to Lindsay's 4 Seasons real estate experience and she's asking me about my favorite coffee, how I live in a town, right? Another one that I've come up with that people could use as a cowboy hat idea. How many people ever ask anyone like, hey, Ethan, I see you have a family. What type of experiences are you most excited about having in this house? What rooms are they happening? What is that really like on the holidays? And when you do that, you get people to start talking about their hopes, their desires, their dreams, and that's where connection is formed, right? Lindsay has enough information in her 4 Seasons method to stay in touch with people forever. So I think that's a great concept, right? So for the people who just joined, we're talking about unreasonable hospitality and the concept of cowboy hat ideas. There are these crazy ideas that you might come up with late at night, early in the morning, after you've had a few drinks that most people are thinking are just absolutely batshit crazy, but you actually can bring them to life. So who else has an idea that they'd like to share?
This is Chirag reminding me years ago in my prior life, Disney had what's called the Disney Institute. And it was a 3-day customer service program for anybody and everybody in all different walks of life. And they taught you in 3 days all about their philosophy on customer service, which you could apply to any business. And this is, we talked about 4 Seasons and the Ritz, and it was the same concept of you want everybody to have the same experience when they're dealing with you and your team, from the first phone call or internet email interaction to the closing and thereafter. And I just think somehow there's similarities here.
Yeah. I think, look, I think if you look at Disney, right? I don't know. What did you do in a prior life with Disney? Now you have me intrigued.
Well, I wasn't with Disney, so I was in the on the property management side in New York City and ran a whole portfolio of commercial office buildings. But what we did every day was all about customer service. We were servicing our tenants. We were servicing our staff. We were servicing our leasing agents, our engineers. So at that time, it was all about customer service. And to this day, I still apply some of those things that I've learned to my clients and customers today.
So like if you look at Disney, right? How many parents have gone to Disney here? People. I've been there. I'm never going again. Just so you know, my daughter Valentina 7 has been there 7 times. I'm like, you can go there with anyone else not named Daddy, right? But the thing about Disney, by the way, get a tour guide. If you want to know anything about Disney, Ethan, let me know. I got you. So the big thing about Disney is like, look, the characters from one area don't go to another. All the garbage cans and all that stuff are underground. Like you don't know how Disney happens, and that's the magic of it, right? Just like your clients don't know all the things that go, they just see the experience, right? So I think these all cowboy hat ideas around customer service are really important, right? So if you look at a cowboy hat idea, you want me to give you guys, I'll throw another one out there. Now, you know why people like Amex Black Cards? 1, there's a status, but 2, there's a person at the other end that can answer any question you want. It's like having a full-time assistant, right? They can book your vacations, restaurant reservations, all kinds of things. Now, imagine every one of your clients that bought a house with you, you gave them a black card that had a unique PIN number that had all their information, and you had one employee that just answered the phone all day and just did everything for them. Oh, you want a restaurant? Great. You have restaurants, you have relationships with all the local restaurants, all the local vendors. You're constantly placing people places, right? And then all your clients call you and you don't ever have to call them, right? It's a whole different type of innovation. So Allison, you just joined us. We're talking about unreasonable hospitality and cowboy hat ideas. Like, what are these crazy ideas that you can innovate and actually bring to life? So anyone else have a cowboy hat idea for their business that they want to share? Or come up with one? Nicole with the red glasses, let's go.
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I wrote down everything that you have, but nothing comes to mind right now.
You know, the example of Disney is a good one because, you know, very often an innovative idea comes from outside an ecosystem. So when you see in certain industries something gets rocked or changed, it's often because it came from somewhere else, because often the people that are in that industry may end up limiting their thinking. They're always incremental, like, well, how can I get 2% more sales, or how can I cut costs 5% or something? Sometimes somebody with that experience somewhere else drops something in. So while you're thinking about something innovative, think about the other experiences you've had anywhere in your life, like getting your hair done at the hair salon or any other service situation. You can think of a potential way to get some kind of an aspect of that into your business here. You know, if we just try to think of how do I change my own business, maybe our thinking is limited, but we've all had fantastic experiences with somebody serving us one place or another in our life. And if we think about how that happened, including some place like Disney, for example, if we're familiar with it, there may be something that pops into our head.
So who has an idea, right? Like, the world is filled with innovation, right? So I would really challenge yourself to push outside of your comfort zone. Look, in my belief, if you look at the real estate landscape, people are going to be challenging more what you get for what you pay. And you all already in the 1% and so much further ahead of everybody. So let's just leave everyone in like the dust. Chris Berger, how are you today? Let's unmute you. Andrew?
Hi.
Laura Lynn, you're up next. So tell me a cowboy hat idea you have. Like, what's something crazy that you'd want to do?
Well, I do hear from my past clients almost every day. We joke, and my clients kind of joke that I should have a kiosk in the middle of town and charge like a nickel for every bit of advice. So I've been doing that for a really long time. And then I update my list of people, like down to where to get your nails done. Like Lindsay was saying, everything. It's about 20 pages long. And then I update it, and then I send it out to everybody every 6 months with, hey, I've updated my recommended people list, doctors, hair salon, everything, caterers. So I do get calls all the time, and it's a good way to reach out to people without being like, look at what I sold. I closed on another house today. So, I know, I don't know. I don't know what else I'm trying to.
So if you take information, right, here's where you want to push your thinking. If you take that information, what is a better, more thoughtful way that you could organize it, curate it, create a better experience, make it easier for people, like just literally sit in a room and be like, what would I always go back to, if the Ritz-Carlton concierge was doing this job, or the Ford, like, how would they do? And then I would push myself to look at other high-end hospitality brands and services and concierge and see what they would do. Like, go online and research it, right? Like personal concierge, like they have some, I don't know the names off the top of my head, but they have certain membership sites that are like this.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. And it's funny that I send this out and then people call me. So then I'm like, okay, they're not keeping it somewhere. But I'm glad they call me or they text me and they're like, hey, who should I call for this? I don't know where your list of people are or whatever. So I should probably
Do you have a website?
Yes, but I don't want to put it on my website to give to everybody.
So here's what you do. You make what's called a vanity page on your website. It's published on your website. You can only get to it if you have the link. If not, no one can ever find it.
Oh, that's a good thing. Okay.
Yep. And
then
also
they,
you can make people have a username, a path. There's all kinds of different ways to do it. So if you want to talk more about how to do that, just shoot me a text and I'd be happy to hop on a call and just walk you through it, you and your assistant.
okay.
And, taking it a step further, instead of blasting it out to everybody every 6 months, if it was powered by AI, somehow the right information off of that list would get to the right client at the right time that they need it, like a week before they need it, right? It would just land on their desk. And like
Yeah.
somehow it would know that they're going to need that information in the next week. And so there it is for them. They don't have to look at the list. It just pops up for them, right? So there's probably some way to make that happen. But like Chirag was saying, all the things that all the concierges of the world have in common is they know their clients so well that they know what their client needs before the client needs it. And they're delivering it to them, without having been asked. There's nothing wrong with, the pushing it to them. And sometimes they'll reach out to you and they'll want to pull that information from you. On the other hand, if it's automatic and they didn't even have to ask you for it, that's really great service.
Would it
Nobody
be like
else is doing
they Googled chimney sweep and then all of a sudden they get my list with
Right.
the chimney guy
Well,
on
if
it?
they have cookies, if you have cookies and stuff on your website, then that's a whole different. So there's different ways of doing this. Like if you look into ad retargeting, that's one way to do it. Right. So ad retargeting. So you could send everyone to that page, right? And when they go on the page, they get a cookie and then you can retarget them. The other thing that you could do is use your Compass CRM to use the digital ad platform just to create ads that are different every month, just to go to all your past clients. It's really cheap. It's really easy. You already have all their email addresses and it's just like a few clicks and you could do it on the platform.
Okay.
So innovation would say is if they saw my ads on social media, if I was able to send this to them in a more curated way now, where I can get them on this website and then have follow-up retargeting, then what would those ads look like? What would the experience look like? And then how is that all going to drive me business?
Okay.
Don't feel overwhelmed. Like these are just ideas, right? And it's like kind of figuring out how to take things that you're doing in all these different touch points and simplify them and build them into a system and then automate it.
Okay.
If you had a great list of vendors, how many of you do this? You get the inspector's report, let's say, on a house. And before the transaction's done, the guy, inspector says, I think you'll get 3 more years out of this roof. And then 2.5 years from then, you're sending this information to that person as a reminder. And then like, here's the vendor you're going to need in the next 6 months. How many of you do that?
I've usually already gotten them a quote.
Got it. But I mean, 2.5 years later, you're getting them the quote at the time of the transaction. You're saying you wait 2.5 years and you remember that that's the lifespan of the roof at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if something's within 5 years, I usually call one of my people and then I so that they have a good idea what's to come. And then I don't, I do probably forget in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years to call them about their roof.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so that I need to figure out a way to put my inspection reports into some format of AI so that it does send it to them.
That's smart. I do little reminders like every month, but they're basically in my newsletters, but most of my clients are coming from the city buying houses, so they don't know what to do. So it'd be like every 3 years, I'll remind them, pump your septic, or it's you should be cleaning your gutters or what have you, which I find helpful because they're used to having supers to do everything for the building.
Sure.
So, but the inspection report's smart.
So the question is now sending these things is one thing. A cowboy had ideas figuring out how to use AI to make all this stuff work for you.
Right. Just thinking that.
Is there a program?
I don't know, right? I don't know. Like you can build in ChatGPT your own bots to do your own stuff. So it's really interesting, right? Like what you can do. And this is worth spending time on doing. Because remember this, A 5-minute task done 300 times a year is 25 hours. You know how much time we all lose in a year just doing like this remedial stuff? If I think about how much time I spend going to the supermarket, right? Like in a year, has to be 50, 60 hours. Like, do I really need to do that? Probably not. But just think about you, your client, your tasks, your experience, and like, what is the outcome you're really looking to create?
You know, we've been talking about mastering parts of your business. What if you spent 90 days focused exclusively and obsessively on current AI possibilities? Like, what is out there that I could actually bring into my business? And if that sounds a little too daunting to you, why don't you call up 2 other people in the group and say, let's do it together. And you could have a quick meeting, 30 minutes a week, and say, I've heard of this thing. I'll look into it and report back to you guys next week. And somebody else reports back on another one that they know of. And so you guys are pooling your information. And maybe at the end of the 90 days, you guys have a pretty good insight into what is either available right now or what's right on the cusp of being usable for you guys. Just another idea.
So who else has an idea? This is the think tank. Allison, Laura. Who wants to live in the world of innovation today? Ethan, Evan.
I don't know. I don't have anything coming to mind like right now, but I'm definitely, trying to start spinning my wheels on this. But yeah, nothing kind of top of mind.
So, all right. So think about leads, events, client experience, marketing, agent connections, agent referrals, ways that you let people know that you're a United States concierge for real estate. These are all different things that you can build into your brand as well as make part of your client experience. See, I believe, right, from my perspective, like if you look at a transaction before, during, and after, all the things that you do in the before and during help create the information you need to have a great after. But like what you can find online, both buying and selling before and like the whole process during have been commoditized already. The only area that we really have that we still own is after. But I can tell you this, like there will be an AI program, I bet, in the next 24 months that you can put all the things you like, Ethan, the ages of your kids, a certain geographic distance, and AI will search Google and send you the best suggestions based on what you want. The more information you give it, the better it gets.
I've got a question. How many, after we close, usually within a week or probably 30 days at the most, we send a follow-up sort of questionnaire where we're requesting a testimonial. And my question is, I guess, twofold. One is, do you guys guide the client in how you want them to write the testimonial? Or do you leave it open-ended? And then my second question is like, back to the AI piece, could artificial intelligence, when someone's like looking for a realtor or they're, I don't know, could the information in the testimonial feed AI in terms of making you top of mind or present or whatever, rank highly for a prospective client?
Well, ranking highly is just based on an SEO algorithm, right? David.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay. Ranking highly is the wrong term, but I mean, like if someone's looking for a roofer, and to your point earlier about how that would bring Chris back into the mix, could it be something that could be tied to a referral too, or sorry, testimonial too? Maybe I'm not articulating it right or well, but
yeah, but you're talking about mining the information that's in the testimonial to somehow send a response that's appropriate for that, right?
Yeah, because here's where the genesis of this is, like, Chirag, to your point earlier about like all of us being in the top 1%, right? I think like all of this is sort of, we want this all to go in the direction of having, basically never-ending trust with the client. Like we are their go-to resource. And one thing that I sort of struggle with is like knowing that, and this is going to sound conceited or egotistical, but like knowing that I'm better than like the next person on the block. Um, I want to like, I want there to be systems in place so that like the consumer sees that like Joe Schmo is lazy, Ethan and his team will outwork those guys, and they have a greater level of expertise, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was just thinking from like the testimonial aspect, if there's a way to like feed that into everything we're talking about, so that that enters people's decision matrix.
So, right, testimonials are built to overcome people's objections and concerns about a product and service, right? So if you're thinking about prompting your clients, think about like the 3 to 5 different objections you get, and then figure out what people's experiences. Everyone should change testimonials to client experiences on their marketing. It just sounds so much more elevated than reviews, client testimonials, like client experiences, right? So, if I was asking you, I would say, Ethan, what type of experience are you looking for in an agent you partner with in purchasing a home? Right? That's very different than saying, well, what do you want in an agent, right? Because it's in the end, we're in the experience business. We're in the lifestyle business. We're in the hospitality business. Because a real estate agent is the most expensive luxury service a person will invest in their lifetime, minus plastic surgery, which costs a lot more. So outside of that, like you really don't have much to compete with, right? So in terms of prompting clients, yeah, I would give them prompts, like questions, right? What was your favorite part of your experience? Like, what do you think that happened that exceeded your expectations? What's a great surprise you had? And then you can say, if you answer these questions, I can take a stab at like of putting this together, and you have to show them what great looks like. And when asking for a testimonial, it says, look, we believe, I would say, look, like we want to find people that are looking for the type of experiences we provide. And many times you just realize, like, Ethan was a great real estate agent. He was very helpful, highly recommend him. That doesn't know. It's like looking at a restaurant saying the food here was great. I highly suggest you try. So we want to help the people that are looking for the type of experience you had. So the more clearly you can share what was important about or what was special about the experience to you in as many details, where if you looked at it, you'd be like, I want that experience. You'd be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, maybe we should actually prompt them then in the email, asking them for, we send a link, and it's funny, my assistant sends it, and then I immediately follow up with an email, and I'm like, hey, and you have to give me 5 stars, otherwise don't do it, like jokingly. And then they laugh and they're like, of course. But they'll write a testimonial. But I think we should actually maybe add one question of what experience, where did we help you? I don't know. I mean, each.
Do you want, does everyone want me just to write an email that you could just copy and paste?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, I have to, David's going to run this discussion for the next 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to put this email together. And look, for all of you here, I encourage you to get onto our group calls. They're very useful and effective. And we have live prospecting every Monday at 9:30 Eastern and 9:30 Pacific. I encourage you to show up with all of your team members. And Chris, if you want to finish putting this together, let me know. Laura Lynn, I'm kicking this off to you. You're up next. As always, love in my heart. I love you all. If you need anything, call me, email me, text me. Got your back. David, continue on.
Catch you later, Chirag. Yep. Go ahead, Laura.
I'm brushing my teeth.
Okay.
I'm still scrambling to get ready. Hold
We'll
on.
give you a pass for a minute. No worries.
Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I'll come back on.
Multitasking.
I'm listening intently.
So I'm really curious, it's hard, right? When somebody puts this question to you, what would be a really out of the box idea, a cowboy hat idea for your business? And sometimes it's hard to think of it. Let me ask you, if I were to ask you, you've been running this business for years, what is a cowboy hat idea that you have previously implemented in the business? where was some place where you really went further than everybody else goes, or something that you really chose to do a little bit differently, something where you innovated in a way that you felt was right, whether it worked or not? What was a kind of a chance that you took to do something really a little bit different in the business?
Hey, David, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay, good, great.
So sorry, I don't have my video on yet, but so I think I kind of, when I listened to Unreasonable Hospitality, it was an incredible book. I'm gonna listen to it again now. When I was listening to it, all of the ideas really resonated more with how I can pour love and attention into my team and
Yep.
show them unreasonable hospitality than my clients. And then
Yep.
the thought was it will just overflow onto the clients. If
Yep.
we can get to the point where our team members feel like all they have to do every day when they wake up is just focus on doing what they love. The
Yep.
only aspects of being client facing, whether it be taking people to lunch or going on walks or doing wine dates or previewing properties, just whatever piece of it they're passionate about, and whatever it is that isn't in their wheelhouse as far as what's natural to them, the team takes over the rest.
Mm-hmm. Got it. How does that work for you in practice, do you think?
I feel like it's working well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, very, very happy team members and a great culture. And
focusing on your team like that and having a clear sense of, how you can extract the most value out of the business by serving them is certainly not the way everybody thinks about it. Anybody ever heard of Danny Meyer? Danny Meyer is a very successful restaurateur. He created Shake Shack. You might know Shake Shack, or the Union Square Cafe in New York, and several others. Very successful restaurateur. He wrote a book called Setting the Table. And in that book, he identified 5, here's his kind of innovative, thinking. Innovation is about thinking and it's about action, right? And so the thinking has to come first, like, okay, what's my idea? What's my vision? And then there has to be some action after that. And so we just heard that from Laura. In Danny Meyer's case, he identified 5 stakeholders in his businesses: employees, customers, vendors, investors, and the community. And he thought very long and hard about how to value those 5 different stakeholders. Which is more important than another? Is customer the most important thing? What about my investors? What about the community? And through all of his kind of thinking about it, he came up with this particular order. He said, look, number 1 for me is my employees. Because if my employees are doing well and are supported right, then that affects my customers. And if my customers are affected right, then that affects my vendors, because I need to get more supplies from them because my restaurant's doing very well. And so if my employees and my customers and my vendors, most of whom are local to me, are doing well, then that positively affects the community. And if what I'm doing is positively affecting the community, then that's going to serve the needs of my investors, because they want a business that's successful in the community. And so he organized it in that particular order: employees, customers, vendors, community, investors. That was his innovative way to think about how to spend his time and attention as the leader of the business. And so he wrote Setting the Table. If you ever want to read it, it's kind of a real life story. And it's not like heavy, deep leadership stuff. It's more like practical. And so that's a great example of somebody innovating their thinking in a way that ends up changing how they spend all their time and attention in the business. So let me ask you again, where have you thought outside the box or applied some kind of unique or innovative thinking or practices within your business in the past, no matter how small? See, if nobody can come up with anything, that's great, because we have 5 or 6 very successful people on the call here, and we haven't even plowed the field of innovation yet. We've kind of like plowed the field of standardization or something like that, right? Commonality or something. So that means there's tremendous opportunity for everybody to think about what else I could be doing besides all the conventional stuff that I have done. I'll give you an example. My first experience in customer service was the beginning of my career. I spent 15 years in an airline. And I was in the part of the airline that handled tours. We brought Japanese tours into the United States. And we were a very small player in the field. There were other companies that were much larger than us that were doing that. And so they had much better, consequently, prices on hotels and buses and everything that we needed to run a tour. They could do it for like 25% less because their volume was so big. And so we did something very innovative. We went to the Sheraton Hotel in New York, and we said we would like to prepay and pre-book 35 rooms every single night for a year. Whether we use them or not, we want to pay for you right now for the whole year for 35 rooms every single night, and we want the same 35 rooms on one floor. So we want to create within your hotel a hotel just for our people. And on that floor, we want to convert the 2 rooms that are at the end into a private lounge for our people only, staffed by employees that we would put in there 7 days a week from 9 to 5 to handle all concierge stuff. So our Japanese clients, these are Japanese clients, don't have to go down to the English-speaking concierge and ask for what they want. And we would know that there's security up there, and security knows if there's anybody on the floor besides me who was not Japanese, they would always question that person. But one of the most innovative things we did was we got access through some tough negotiation for them to give us special access within the reservation system so that we would book all the people into the rooms ourselves. Even the people who were in the hotel reservation center and in the hotel's front office could never go into our 35 rooms. It was a separate hotel within a hotel. We're the only company ever in Sheraton's history to allow a client access to their reservation system. We could use the whole system for the whole hotel, 2,000 rooms. We could cancel all of our competitors' rooms. You know, we could double their prices. We could change the entry date, the arrival date, and the departure date. They'd never, ever done anything like that before, even close to it, to trust another client that much to give them access and rebuild the system so that they would have a special hotel within a hotel was terribly innovative. And we made it work for 10 years. It was very hard work for us to make sure that we could fit everybody into those 35 rooms exactly on, the departure and all that stuff. But the point is, very often innovation requires a partner who's willing to think outside the box and be thoughtful with you. So when you're thinking about innovating your business, think about the vendors that you depend on. Maybe a lawyer, maybe a banker or somebody who's going to, some kind of financing thing, or maybe somebody who's some kind of I don't know, whoever else you may use for any your staging company or something like that. Is there a way for you to have a conversation with them where they might be willing to just think of some ways to actually do what you both do better? So when I put it that way, let me ask you, is there someone that is outside of your business that you regularly work with that you think might be open to an outside the box conversation? And if so, who would that be?
So David, I don't know if it's along those lines or not.
Yep.
But, and it's in the very infancy stages, but I have been masterminding and networking with all of the other team leads in my area.
Yep.
So that we can really kind of pool our experience and our ideas together. Just to draw from one another, to everything from inviting my agents to their team trainings, just all kinds of collaboration, any level of collaboration that they're open to. Just figuring that we're all better together.
Yep, great idea. And that's one of the things that we want everybody to think about, this community right here. You've got dedicated people, we're all coming together, we know each other, we can trust each other. There's all kinds of great ideas like that. I love the training idea. That's great. Wouldn't it be great if some of your people had access to somebody else's great training that you've never, arranged or set up yourself? And what about that Black Card, that Amex Black Card idea? What if there were a way for us to make that possible for everybody who's in this mastermind group and the other mastermind group? So everybody's clients would have access to that 24/7, no matter where you are in the country or the world. That would be something that nobody else, any other Compass agent could match in the same way. Could we make it work? I don't know. But who wants to have the conversation? Right? We can totally transform our business. And so from my point of view, there's a difference between change and transformation. Change is like incremental. Like you add 10% here, you add 10% there, you change the software to that software. It's basically the same, thing that it's doing, it's just different software. But transformation often means you kind of let go of something in order to grab something that's fundamentally different. And so if we're thinking about transforming our business, sometimes that means we kind of have to give up an idea that maybe has served us well in order to and be able to even consider and embrace something completely different. I mean, that's kind of what Zillow's about, right? Zillow as a disruptor, and earlier you go back to travel agents, right? You got Travelocity and Expedia and those guys. They changed the whole business. They killed the business, right? Digital knocked out film, right? These are transformational thoughts and technologies. And so they can have long lasting and broad effects on businesses, but you don't have to be, you don't need to change the whole world, just change your business. What would you say was the most innovative thing? All right, see you, Chris, thanks. Yeah, what would you say is the most innovative thing you've done, or just name one innovative thing you've done in your business that you think is a little bit out of mainstream? I can see we're going to have to work on this. This is great. We're going to have to do something at the retreat or something on this stuff, because you know what, this is good. I mean, it's good, but it's not good, right? It's like, how do we grow the business in a transformational way? Everybody says, I want to 10x my business. Well, you can do that, conventionally by scaling up and all that. But sometimes it's an innovative thing. Think about Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg, he formed that whole business. He was in that financial business and he'd worked there and he knew all of the different systems that everybody used. And it was uncomfortable. It was expensive. All the systems that they had at that time, my brother worked for them for quite a while. He was telling me that at that particular time, they had all these different services and systems that had different information that these bond traders and everybody needed. And so they had to have like 7 different systems on their desks to be able to have a total picture of what was going on. And so Bloomberg said, I'm going to leave this company and I'm going to create one system that has everything that these guys need. And he did. He went out and he built the Bloomberg terminal. And he started renting the Bloomberg terminal right back to the same guys that he used to work with for $1,500 a month per terminal. And so, those companies, Salomon Brothers and Lehman Brothers and all those guys, they're buying 10,000, 20,000 of them. Guy becomes a millionaire, billionaire, simply because he found a way to innovate in a way that created value. And sometimes that's it. You step out of a business and you look back, you know what the gaps are. And so if you say, where are the gaps in the way that we provide service right now? Where are the gaps in what the client experiences from us right now? Maybe there's a way to start from there and say, wow, what if?
David, you make me feel like I'm flying blind.
Well, that's why we're here, to think about this stuff, right? Yep. So, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with not being innovative, right? You can succeed wonderfully through convention and through, just managing the business, running a tight ship. That's all good. At the same time, this other opportunity for innovation is always there for all of us. So one step you can take right now is, in the next 30 days, talk to 3 or 4 people that you respect the way they run their businesses and ask them a simple question. What's the most innovative thing you think you've done in your business? And see what they tell you. Some may have an answer, some may not. But if some do, that should get your own juices flowing a little bit and get the gears turning. All right, see you, Evan. Well, we'll bring this to a close here in a minute. I'm just curious if anyone, I'd like to ask each of you. I mean, Ethan just kind of weighed in a moment ago about flying blind. I'm curious what the others on the call, what's running through your mind at this point based on our conversation today. Nicole?
That I need to think outside of the box more.
Got it?
that we need to sort of co-create this idea beyond the real estate space that can add to our clients' lives in a way that not everyone else is already thinking of, but
Yep.
it's kind of the theme.
Got it? How about you, Laura? You still with us? You brushing your teeth?
I'm still here. Sorry, that took a second. No, now I'm
worries.
scrambling to get out the door. Because it's
What's
early
going
here
through your
on the
mind?
West Coast. I'm excited. I love this. I often try to look at other industries and figure out how we can think outside the box. Because I think even when it just comes to like the basics of marketing and social media and all that, when I hire people, I try to hire people outside of the industry. Just because I think we just get really stuck in a rut, you know, with just kind of following and trying to do and run our businesses just like all the people around us.
Yep. Got it. Thank you. And how about you, Chris? Chris, you still there? You know, this makes me think we do need to address this a little bit more. You know, maybe we'll come back with something at the retreat or another session where we can continue to talk about this stuff a little bit further. What if everybody came to the retreat with the most innovative, outside the box cowboy hat idea that they've actually come up with, thought through a little bit, and could share with the group? And all 30 or whatever of us at the retreat, we could hear 30 different ideas. Would that be valuable to you guys and useful?
I love that.
Yeah, I think it would, David, especially because, I mean, you know, we all work in obviously different markets and probably have our businesses structured each a little differently. So I think that'd be fantastic because there'll probably be plenty that resonates and some that doesn't. But yeah, I like it.
As long as the ideas are truly good, right? If everybody shows up and says, well, and it's all conventional stuff, then right, there's no value for everybody. We'll think about that. I'll talk to Chirag about it a little bit. And, you know, the hard part there is to really support everyone to come to the retreat with something really useful for people to hear. And if we could do that, I'd say let's do it. If we don't think we can do it, of course, we use the time for something else. But we could certainly come back to this at another time. And we'll talk more about it on our next call later in this month. So give some thought to what we've been talking about today and check in with a couple of people who you know and see what they tell you about what's been innovative for them or an idea that they may have that maybe they haven't implemented yet. And let's continue the conversation next time.
Thanks, David. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Laura, you look great. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye,
See you
everyone.
guys.
Be well, everyone. Bye-bye.